And welcome everyone to Wreckem247.com, and that means you're on the Wreckem247.com weekly recruiting update. I'm Zach Long. This is Daniel Pauling, and he has got more than a mouthful to talk about this week. A huge week in terms of Texas Tech recruiting, Daniel.
Absolutely. We started off with a tremendous boom Tuesday night.
There were some things on Twitter. I may have saw a thing or two about this.
Carlos Strickland, the number 16 wide receiver, the number 139 player overall, committed to Texas Tech Tuesday night. Kind of took me by surprise, took a lot of Tech fans by surprise. He had mentioned TCU was his favorite the last couple of weeks, and he had planned another official visit to UCLA this weekend, was going to announce next week his decision. But hey, he said, look, Texas Tech is the place I want to be. I might get to play early here. I like the offense that they run. Why not just go ahead and commit? And that's kind of what he decided to do. He made his official visit a couple of weeks ago, his 18th birthday to Texas Tech. Was actually at the TCU Texas Tech game and watched Texas Tech lose and still decided, hey, let's go ahead and commit to Texas Tech.
That's pretty powerful when you think about right there. You see an 82-point give up there by Texas Tech. But, this goes into something you've been hitting on here for a few weeks, and you also talk about Eric Morris and what he has said, which is they need to upgrade. They need better personnel, and these kids that do commit and ultimately sign with Tech, they're going to have a chance to contribute early and often.
Absolutely. I mean, that's been something that Eric Morris and the other Tech coaches have said, look, we're going to try to out-recruit the players currently on our team. We want to bring in, better players than them. We're going to build that depth to give us something in the next couple of years that we're going to build through Texas high school kids. And just one more thing on Strickland. Tech's outside receivers haven't been the best this season at blocking. It's been kind of sporadic if you want to go that far. Strickland, his sophomore year, he got benched for missing a block during a game. His inside receiver got lit up, and he got back out there. Been great at blocking ever since. I'll give you a couple of numbers. This year, Skyline, his high school, has run 417 plays. He's only touched the ball 24 times. Not every play has been run behind him, but when you have a guy who's 6'4", 6'5", 200 pounds or so, you're going to be throwing behind him, trying to rush the ball to that side, let him take care of stuff downfield. His high school coach said he's been putting kids on their backs, pancake blocks, throughout the season.
Unselfish individuals, what you're really saying there.
Absolutely. And Strickland, I mean, kind of crazy. He doesn't have a Twitter account. He's not big into social media. You don't see that often.
Thank God. That's kind of refreshing to hear that.
And his recruiting coordinator has said, look, he doesn't carry himself like a four-star wide receiver. Kids who are that good, they can do that. And sometimes they do that. But Strickland is very down to earth. He's the kind of kid who says, look, I'm just here to play football. I'll block if I need to. I don't need to get the ball every single time. He only has 8 touchdowns this season, just 23 catches so far, so he's not going to complain or anything about that.
Hopefully a young man everyone will be very happy to see sign on a dotted line in February. Speaking of other high-star prospects and also commits for Texas Tech, their 5-star quarterback Jarett Stidham, he had surgery this week.
Unfortunately for Jarett Stidham, he got hurt in last Friday's game against Big Spring, suffered a displaced oblique proximal ring metacarpal. That is a mouthful. I'll point to it. It's just a broken bone in his right hand, his throwing hand. He's expected to miss about 5 or 6 weeks, should be a full recovery. He hopes to be back in time for the quarterfinals of the state playoffs.
A little touch and go.
It'll be touch and go. It'll be tough, but everybody at Tech expects a full recovery. Expects him to be at spring practice next year working out. So we'll kind of see if his career at Stephenville is done, or if he's going to be able to come back and maybe lead them. They reached the state semifinals last year, so we'll see if he's going to have a chance to help lead them to a state title.
That's a kid also that's going to be a January enrollee at Texas Tech. And, I said this before the show. I felt bad for Stephenville because they've worked so hard, but he said, be careful. Their backup did okay.
Absolutely. And you look at Jarett Stidham, it's tough to replace him. He's got 2,158 passing yards, 585 rushing yards. He's the number two dual threat quarterback in the country. He's accounted for 32 touchdowns. But the first play after Stidham came out, backup Anthony Chavarria, a senior, threw a 50-plus yard touchdown. He finished with 6 passing touchdowns, and Stephenville's 64-57 loss to Big Spring. That 6 passing touchdowns, second most in school history, in Stephenville history, behind Tyler Jones, who's now at Texas State and was the quarterback before Jarett Stidham took over.
And Big Spring, good football team. That's a really good football team. So it'll be interesting to see what Stephenville does. Hopefully a kid like Stidham gets to get back because if they do get into the state finals or somewhere that deep. He's worked so hard. That's someone you obviously hope to see have a nice time. On the commit front as well, if you were following Daniel on Twitter last week, and if you weren't, well, then shame on you. Another member of the Castaneda family headed to Texas Tech.
Yep, right after we filmed our show last week, Tyler Castan, sophomore, 6'4", 270, offensive tackle, committed to Texas Tech. Pretty much he got offered last Wednesday, committed last Thursday, just said, look, I wanted a little bit of time to sleep on it, a little time to talk to my family. He said, look, I want to play with my older brother. I want to be on the same field as him. His family was into it. Last Wednesday night, actually, he was told to call Coach Cliff Kingsbury, called Cliff, got the offer, and things kind of went from there. He spent a lot this summer with his older brother, Robert Castaneda. Got to talk with Raven Clark, Davis Webb a little bit. So he's got to meet a few of the players, learned a lot about Texas Tech while his older brother was getting recruited. So he knew a lot about the program right there, didn't need a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah, that was an easy get for Texas Tech, but hopefully someone that gives them some stability on that offensive line in the coming years. Daniel, if anyone wasn't aware of the fact that this weekend Texas and Texas Tech play in Lubbock, well, you are now, and so naturally it doesn't take a mad scientist or a genius to say there might be a few kids visiting this weekend.
This is a huge weekend for Texas Tech recruiting. Obviously, Jarett Stidham's going to be here for an unofficial visit, but he's going to be trying to help recruit a lot of other guys. We got 4 official visits this weekend. Justin Reed is the big guy. He's a 4-star safety, 4.7 GPA, 28 on the ACT.
Wow.
Got a scholarship working at Stanford, so he's a smart kid, won't have any trouble with grades.
Right.
He's the younger brother of Eric Reed, who started LSU, is now with the 49ers, so he's got great bloodlines, 6 foot, 193. One strange thing you would think, hey, LSU might be interested in him. They haven't offered him yet.
Wow.
So Texas Tech is still in the running for him there. We'll see what happens. If LSU offers all of a sudden in a couple of weeks, will he just jump at it, or will he stay to the other schools that are kind of looking at him right now?
Absolutely. And then how about another wide receiver? Because can't get enough of those, right?
We actually got a couple of them.
All right, let's go through those.
Damian Ratley, the number 17 JUCO wide receiver. We talked about him a little bit last week. After Blinn College got eliminated from the junior college
playoffs, yeah.
To Navarro, another great school there in Navarro. He decided, hey, I'm going to go out to Texas Tech, make an official visit. 6'1", 185, only had a Division II offer coming out of high school.
Interesting.
No Division I interest, but now he's got offers from Kentucky, Purdue, and now Texas Tech. So he's definitely being looked at by a few different places. And Kiki Kute.
That's a tough name.
I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but he's a 3-star wide receiver. He's the number 48 athlete, number 514 player overall, out of Louisiana. He's 5'10", 185 pounds. Kind of an interesting guy. Unfortunately, haven't had too much of a chance to speak with him, but definitely a decent prospect for Texas Tech to be looking at.
What about one more? I'm looking at your list there. He's got so much information on this notepad. I don't know how he processes all of it. What's the 4th and final big member of this visit this weekend?
Kind of a kid who hasn't been linked too much to Texas Tech. He's an unranked offensive tackle out of Cibolo Steel, Mike Jinks' old school. 6'5", 295 pounds. So he's a big kid. Only has 2 offers, one from Brigham Young, one from Texas Tech. He's going to be making his official visit this weekend. We'll kind of see, if he's going to kind of connect well with Coach Jinks and the Tech coaching staff, or what else might be happening on the recruiting front with him. But yeah, he's definitely got the size to come play here at Texas Tech. I imagine their offensive line class might be coming close to full.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe they want to just add 1 or 2 more guys there. So we'll kind of see what his
That's a good thing, though. You like talking about a class being full of big offensive linemen, but I do trust Coach Jinks quite a bit. Yeah, imagine he's got a little bit more insight than the rest of the country does on that young man.
Absolutely.
Okay, guys, that was a ton of information. Please go to Wreckem247.com. Follow Daniel Pauling on Twitter if you want to know about all this magical stuff. I'm sure you're going to have full updates for us at the beginning of next week on how all these visits went. Maybe more boomage.
Maybe more booms.
Yeah, you got to watch for the booms. That's always a key indicator. But for right now, though, we're going to get off the air and let you go process and get yourself nice and liquored up for Tech and Texas on Saturday night at Jones AT&T Stadium. For now, though, we bid you farewell. That is Daniel Pauling. I'm Zach Long, and you're on Wreckem247.com.